The dreaded Discovery 1 and 2 multifunction switch slash signal stalk intermittent inoperative conditions when the climate is cold. I've had multiple Discovery 1s and 2s with this issue and taken multifunction switches out of parts vehicles from the wrecking yard and still had the same problem. So there's obviously an engineering issue with these stalks. They seem to work completely fine in hot temperatures, but here in Canada, when it drops down below -10, these things do not work worth a shit. So what the problem is first you'll need to get your stalk out of your vehicle and carefully pry back the lock tabs so that these components can be disassembled. If you can't figure that out, you may want to get a mechanic to help you with this. I'm not going to show you the basics of how to remove this component and disassemble it, but once you get to this part, here's what you need to know. This is the cover for the male terminal connections, and underneath it are the copper slide traces. This one here, this example is already cleaned. You can take a wire brush or just a nice flat blade of a screwdriver and clean off all the old lubricating compound that is turned into a hardened sticky residue. So get these copper traces nice and clean. I also use isopropyl alcohol. I'm sure if you wanted to use brake clean, I'm sure that would work too. And I use a toothbrush as well. And yeah, get all of the residue off of these traces and just clean them and burnish them like you can see I've done here. And then on the inside of this are the sliding switches. Make sure that if you take this apart, you don't forget the orientation of how they went in. So this slide is for the headlights, and the other one, this is for the signals. So I don't seem to have issues with these. So what I did is I just cleaned them out. Same thing, clean the contacts on the contact pads. And on this one, I took it right out. I'll show you right here, right now. I'm just gonna flip it up because I only have one hand. Take it right out. Take the brass, copper contact pad right out of here and cleaned this all off. And then what I did is I just put a couple of solder balls on top of it just to give it a little additional height. And then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to lubricate these all up with dielectric grease so everything moves freely, and then install it back into the vehicle. And one thing I also wanted to mention too is when I first took this apart, I noticed how sticky this was with that residue from that 20-plus-year-old electrical lubricating compound. And so what I think was happening is, there's not enough travel in the spring to make contact when these contacts do wear down, and B, when this is compressed in its dormant position in the cold, I'm pretty sure that that residue is just freezing and not allowing this to spring back up. So yeah, I'm going to install it into the vehicle after I've lubricated these components with dielectric grease, and I'm going to let you know if I've fixed the problem. Okay, I've got the electrical switch contact portion all back together. Now this is the mechanical side after you slide it back in. One thing I just wanted to point out as well is make sure you set the orientation of these slides so that where the ball socket of the multifunction switch right here lines up with that, as well as the tab on the side has to line up with that. I set them in the middle, and what I'm going to do is actually just apply a little bit of dielectric grease to each of those, just to give it a little bit of extra lubrication. And then, set your switch in. Make sure you turn the stalk so that the ball end of this is in the middle, and then just carefully set it in there. You can see where this portion slides on that tang there. So yeah, get that in there and then get the cover on, put the screws all in, and then it should be ready to go. All right, moment of truth. Looks like it works.